Welcome back. So let's talk about how this loadout works, how it functions, and what's the whole point of it. So the idea first is if you have stims and munitions box and the end game is in a place that has multiple elevations where a team can't push you, you automatically win the game. So if you say for instance you're able to take the top of prison roof and final circle occurs, that's an automatic win. So the idea originated from that. Just having a backup class just in case that situation was to come, you can just pull this loadout and guarantee the win. Restock was then added in afterwards. The idea with restock is you're able to use your stims and then rotate into a power position and from power position to power position and be able to still ensure that you're going to have stims in case that late game situation does occur. So if I decided to rotate to the top of the tower and I had to go through the gas, then from there I went to prison. Like, it's able to refresh the stims just to ensure that I'm able to get into that opportunity. That also helps with claymores, being able to guard separate locations, especially when you're going to be in the gas. You're going to be very weak. You're not going to be able to plate up. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll give away my plates because if I'm going to be in the gas, like, I don't even need the plates. So that was the main point there, is the restock plus the stims. I've tested it and I cannot get a third stim to pull with restock. It's just basically impossible. Even with self-revive, even the way you time it, I wasn't able to get a pull with just restock and stim. Next, going into the gun, smoke grenade was a way for me to rotate a little bit easier. Stun grenades were a good way for me to have stims and yet stun somebody in the gas and guarantee a knock. Those were the main two options for this particular loadout. But whenever I found out that the thermal optic shows the enemy players a lot easier in the gas, it became so much easier to attach this. So I went ahead and put on the smoke grenade. I was running Combat Scout. As soon as Combat Scout came out, it became so much easier to track players in the gas. This is almost a necessity. The only alternative may be tune-up if you plan to have another teammate in the gas, but it is not necessary because the res time for that teammate is less time than it takes for you to die. So you're able to res them, stim again, res them, stim again, and if they had a self-revive or if they had a stim, like, you'd be able to keep another person in there with you without having restock. The main difference, the one that makes this build OP, is when you have quick fix. So I recently found out that quick fix regens your health if you get a down or if you get a thirst, even while you're in the gas. So what that means is that if I sit in the gas and people are being forced out, I don't have to burn a stim if I'm able to down somebody, or if I'm able to thirst somebody. I'm able to keep regenerating my health and being able to stay in the gas much longer. It's a really big help. Also, if you're not using plates, quick fix can come in handy, but it's mainly just to stay in the gas. If you time your stims correctly with restock, and quick fix, you can get a third and possibly fourth stim without having to leave the gas. But that's if you time it really well. So with all of this being said, I landed on the smoke grenades. The smoke grenades are going to fit with the Combat Scout because if you are shooting enemies through the smoke with your thermal, you can highlight them for your teammates. So your teammates don't need thermal sights to be able to use that, and the smoke grenades aren't a hindrance. The smoke grenades obviously blend in with the thermal optic, but the Combat Scout blends in with the FMJ. The FMJ is going to allow you to shoot through walls. So if you're tracking somebody through walls, FMJ is going to allow you more utility. Some other alternatives were sleight of hand if I took off the 60 round mag, but the 60 round mag is good in case you grab this as a late loadout. Fully loaded is also really good. And then frangible disabling, if you're trying to keep somebody in the gas, you put more pressure on them. As they're running away, they're going to have a hard time running, and they're going to have a harder time trying to fight you if they're also trying to run with the same stun effect. A possible alternative is putting on the 5 milliwatt laser, which gives you a little bit more flexibility on what you can do with this gun. The reason why I go with the Predator is because it doesn't mention it, but it hides the tracers. So if you're shooting somebody in the gas, they have a harder time seeing where the shots are coming from. It's particularly important because without the thermal optic, you're at a very significant disadvantage, because if you're in the gas, it's hard to see out of the gas. But if you're inside of the circle, if you're not in the storm, you can see pretty easily outside the gas. So you're at a really big disadvantage. The Predator barrel helps to hide that because it has an integrated suppressor. The pistol is just a backup with fully loaded, so I can grab another SMG. The only other thing that I would consider on this is the 458 SOCOM. The reason why I don't use SOCOM or a sniper is that if you're in the storm, it hurts your recoil. Every second or two, it'll cause you to flinch, and you can miss a lot of shots if you're flinching with every shot. So this is gonna be a lot better. Sometimes I do miss having that stun on there. I'll put it on every now and then. Sometimes I miss the 458 SOCOM. That has to go with sleight of hand. But the main one that I'm really considering is the frangible disabling, and that thermal optic. It's a really big help. I'm going to put a clip of me showing how clear somebody looks with that thermal optic. One last note is that tracker could be very useful if the footsteps are highlighted bright enough. If the illumination is bright enough and you're in the gas, it could help you identify where the enemies are, especially if you're rotating within the storm. So I'm considering putting that on there. But the class fits together very nicely. Everything has a lot of chemistry.